Hey, Pastor Josh here. We're reading 1 Peter chapter 5, verses 12 through 14. And we have come to the end of this first epistle from that lovable fisherman. We see here the sweetness of faithfulness. We see that Peter is recognizing who actually took pen to paper or quill to paper to scroll. It is indeed Silas. If you remember that missionary partner with Paul, Paul and Silas named Silvanus. And it's also helpful for us to recognize that Silas always played second fiddle. But goodness, wasn't he a good second chair fiddler? If he wasn't second chair and assistant to Peter, we wouldn't have had this letter that we have. If he wasn't second chair, he wouldn't have been that great assistant to Paul when Paul needed him to go on his missionary journey after him and Barnabas went separate ways. What a great servant Silvanus Silas was, Silvanus being another form of Silas, and then also just the idea that two names, Peter, also Simon Peter, Silvanus, Silas, and Silvanus being the same person, especially as you analyze when he shows up in the text of the Bible. Saul, remember, Paul's name was changed from Saul to Paul. So here, Peter's recognizing who it was that has actually been writing this. So Peter has been dictating this letter. So even this letter, while it is a letter of sorts, we have to remember it is a dictated letter. It was spoken and then written down. And perhaps Peter said, "Oh, let me put it this way." It'd be interesting how that interaction happened between Silas and Peter. But here is Silas and Peter going to be in Rome writing to the church in Asia. Remember, all spread about in that province of Asia, modern day Turkey. So Peter's closing his letter saying, "Hey, I didn't write it. Silvanus wrote it. Silas wrote it. By Silvanus, a faithful brother." He is so faithful. Again, remember, this is a good example for us to follow. And if Silas was not writing this down, we would not have this letter. Who knows? Was Peter in a rush somewhere and said, "Quick, Silas, you write this down, and I'm going to tell you what to say." Da, 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 and he writes it down. And he goes off, or maybe he was doing something. Maybe they were traveling. Who knows the situation that this was written in? But there's probably a rushiness about it. Perhaps there was a reason that Peter was not composing this on his own. So Silas wrote it. He's a faithful brother, as I regard him, Peter says. "And I have written briefly to you." I don't know if it's quite briefly. It is a shorter letter compared to others, but it's a sizable letter. "I have written briefly to you, exhorting and declaring that this is the true grace of God. Stand firm in it. Make it to the end. Keep standing on the good news of the Lord." And then we have this nice, sweet salutation from she who is at Babylon. Now, the she is going to be the church. She who is at Babylon, who is likewise chosen. The Greek word for church is ekklesia. It's a feminine word. In Greek, you have masculine nouns, you have feminine nouns, and then you have neutered nouns. And so ekklesia, church, is a feminine noun, and so that's why she's called a she. We do this sometimes in our own English language. We will call a ship a she. We don't have masculine, feminine, neutered nouns like other languages do, but Greek does. And so she who is at Babylon, he's not talking about a person, he's talking about the church. And interestingly enough, to add confusion to confusion, he's not talking about Babylon. He is using this in a metaphorical, apocalyptic way, an Old Testament way of referring to Rome as that evil empire, Babylon, the Tower of Babylon, and of course the evil empire that drug the Israelites out of their promised land and destroyed the temple that first time. She who is at Babylon, Rome now being the new Babylon, and that is seen quite clearly in the book of Revelation, how Rome, in my opinion, is pictured as Babylon. So she who is at Babylon, the church there at Rome. And so this is what most of the scholars are thinking. Babylon is pointing to is Rome, Peter ending his ministry in Rome, and then also Mark being with him as well. She who is at Babylon, who is likewise chosen, sends you greetings. And so does Mark, my son, that one that's going to write the Gospel of Mark. I wonder, did Mark write this before? Did he write that afterward? Not sure. Greet one another with the kiss of love. Hey, guys in Turkey, we love you down there. We're praying for you. Of course, it wasn't Turkey at the time, but it's Asia Minor. We're praying for you. We love you so much. Peace to all of you who are in Christ. What a sweet connection between the churches. I pray that is a sweet connection that we have with our sister churches as well. We are never, ever in competition with another church. You should never, ever feel that way in your heart. We are all on a mission to reach people for Christ, called to reach the particular folks that are around us, particular networks of folks. And so we need multiple churches of doing it. As long as the church is proclaiming the gospel of Jesus Christ and they're teaching the Bible faithfully, then they are our sister. Teaching the Bible, believing that salvation is in Christ and Christ alone. No additional works. Put your faith in Christ, be baptized, and follow after him. Well, then they indeed are our sister. We should lock arms with them and work alongside them. I pray that's been a blessing to you, and I'll see you in the next video.